We're talking actors and directors who put on the shows.
We're talking playwrights and designers who you'll want to know.
From the very first rehearsal to the final curtain call.
We might be off Broadway, but we're talking about it all.
'Cause we're two local gals
With global pals, it's everything, everything, everything theater.
with Benita
And Ellen. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Everything Theater Podcast Backstage episode. And this is a slightly different Backstage episode because normally it's just me and Benita, but we had so much fun with Adam Deremer last week. We said, Adam, come on back, talk to us about the Tonys.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. Thank you.
And
We're
before
going to check your score too, huh?
All right.
We will. But before we jump into our chat post Tonys, I want to let everybody know that this episode is sponsored by Harbinger Theater here in the Capital Region. Harbinger Theater will present Exit Strategy by Ike Holter with direction by Dennis Skiba at Albany Barn. The show dates are June 16th, 17th, 18th, 23rd, 24th, 25th at 7:30. And there's a Pay What You Can preview on June 15th, which is tomorrow after this gets posted. So I'll see you there if you go. Let's see, here's a quick summary. The teachers at Tumberland High School don't live in an inspirational teacher movie. They bring mousetraps from home. They make the toilet paper list, and they show up for the kids nobody else shows up for. So when the school is slated for closure at the end of the year and the weight of the inevitable bears down on the community, students and teachers alike discover their breaking points. Ricky, the vice principal, has stayed firmly on the sidelines for all the teachers' previous battles, but now in the 11th hour, he's compelled to step up with a plan to save the school. Some risk their futures to follow his lead, but does he actually have any idea what he's doing? So check that out. As again, it's June 16th through the 25th at the Albany Barn. Tickets are $15. Teachers can get in for $10. And there's a Q&A session after the Friday shows.
And you know, I thought immediately of Harbinger Theater last night while watching the Tonys, and I won't have the last name, and I'm not in my normal setting. I'm doing this on the phone. In fact, I'm in New York City right now, so I can't use my notes like usual. You're all gonna have to help me out. Dana, who won as best featured actress. Dana, longtime actress, wasn't it? Dana is her first name. Come on, help me out here.
Oh, Deirdre O'Connell from Dana H.
Deirdre,
Yes,
yeah.
see,
Yes.
oh, I'm close.
Yeah.
But she said, and I posted it, make weird theater.
Yes. Oh,
That was the only quote really of the whole night that, you know, resonated in my heart. And I immediately thought of Harbinger Theater.
Yes.
And probably my second thought would be, you know, in Troy.
Troy Foundry.
Theater. Right. Because that's what they are doing. You know, make weird theater. Neil Simon's fine. However, there is a world of artistic ability, excitement, and recognition in doing something outside the box.
Here,
Okay,
here.
off my soapbox.
well, the more you do stuff outside the box, the bigger the box becomes, and then you're inside the box. So we can live in a really big box if we just keep challenging ourselves.
Bingo. And how wonderful. 39% bigger audience watched the Tonys this year versus last. The audience grew tremendously. I'm sure Broadway would love to see that translated into box office because that's still lagging. But yay, weird theater. Yay, big viewership. Yay to you, Adam. You called it on Strange Loop.
Yes. Yeah. I will say, I mean, I took a few ballot guesses with myself on a couple websites, and we did a thing at work, and I missed a few that I didn't think I would miss. So there were a few surprises that I really didn't expect. I think in the end, I guessed 21 out of 26 correct, or 20 out of 26.
You know, I'll take you to the horse races.
I was saying, yeah, I was
I don't
at
know about that.
15 and some of them I was like, well, Adam said this, so I'm going to go with Adam.
I led you wrong in a few places.
No,
That's for
no,
sure.
no, you steered me right. There were a couple ones I went off that I got, but yeah.
I was sitting here, so I'm in the city by myself. The Hubs and I were on the phone. We were FaceTiming, watching this together. And, Slate would come up and go, oh, she's going to get it, and sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Quick side story. I always force my husband to fill out a ballot. He knows nothing about any of these plays. So he always just randomly guesses. He got 3. But the one year he beat me was the year that because usually he just picks the first one in every column. That's how he fills out his ballot. And it was the year that A Band's Visit and Angels in America
He did great.
He did great that year. Not so much
All
this
right.
year. It was all over.
Right. So, I mean, everybody posted, the top 5 moments, and I agreed, or the top 7. I think we probably. Let me ask you guys your top 4, 5, 6, 7. Of course, the performer from Paradise.
Yeah,
Paradise Square.
Jacqueline
Oh my God.
Calicango. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And
On that note.
Yeah, but she was just, we talked about it last time. She just was putting everything out on the stage, and it was awesome watching the people sitting there respond to her. Because I talk about this happened with you too, Ellen. There was that mid-show standing ovation for her with that song. And I think in my lifetime in theater, I've really only done that 3, maybe 4 times, 3 that I can remember, including this performance now. But before that was Ben Platt and Dear Evan Hansen and Cynthia Erivo in The Color Purple. So when the first person the camera panned to was Cynthia Erivo cheering for her and like supporting her, it was like this weird meta, amazing, beautiful moment. It was awesome. That really stood out as the big thing last night for me.
Yeah.
Not a winner, but the top 5, 7, he keeps getting recognized for this. Billy Crystal in bringing the whole house down, all chanting in Yiddish.
I'm really glad he got that moment to just really just be himself and just charm everybody, because we talked about Mr. Saturday Night last time of not any groundbreaking show by any means, but he is just a delight. And so be able to showcase that as his kind of not final huzzah, because the show's still running, but the world got to see a little bit of what that is.
Yeah, and if you love Billy Crystal, you're gonna love that.
He had him right here, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
They. I mean, they.
Yeah, it was charming.
Ariana.
I think she was such a good pick, because in a night that was so much about diversity and inclusion and acceptance, like she was so confident and just unapologetically herself, which was just exactly what I think we needed in a host, and that was beautiful.
And a night so much about standbys and understudies, because that kept coming up. And sorry, I might have beat you to the punch on that, but she was an understudy, and a lot of people don't know it. She originated the track of The Bullet in Hamilton, so she was in the ensemble. She was also an understudy, so it was amazing that she kept kind of calling that out again, and more specifically, when the standby for 6 went on with less than a 12-hour notice for Abby Mueller, I guess, had tested positive. I'm not sure if that's the case or not, but I didn't. It was funny. I looked up and I was like, oh, I guess they do have some new cast members. And then she said that announcement, and it was great. It was just in the theme of the evening. It was perfect.
Okay, so you brought up the COVID word, and the news, of course, today is that Hugh Jackman is sidelined because he tested positive. And we know that the show, Music Man, had been sidelined a couple of times because of outbreaks in the cast, but now he's positive. And before we started this official point, we all 3 had the same eyebrow raising when we watched the program, the telecast.
Yes.
Which you count? 1 mask? 2 masks?
I remember 1.
Yeah,
the balcony, but on the floor, I think I saw 1 person. I didn't love that. I didn't love that optics.
And you know, it was funny, before it started on Paramount Plus, I started watching the beginning of last year's, and it was such a big deal they were making of, just like our patrons in the theater, we are all here masked and vaccinated. And so it felt a little icky to me to have it start this year and not see any masks. I felt
A little
I think they should have.
disingenuous, right?
Yes.
Especially since you've got to go masked.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I think there is an opportunity for them to say, to attend, you have to be vaccinated with booster. You have to get a test the day of. I don't know if that was the case, but it could have been. But they should have said something if that was, just so we can say, oh, okay, everybody got tested today.
Mhm.
Great. It was a little unsettling. I found that choice disappointing.
Especially since
And
I think
now-
three
yeah.
people kind of did a throwback to Patty LuPone's, attack of the audience member who wasn't masked. So
Good point. Yeah,
yeah.
very good
And
point.
bravo, Patty LuPone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was inevitable. She was just really brilliant in that role. And I actually read something. This is a little bit of a detour, but still, about Patti LuPone and that performance. I read something about how they really made the specific choice to have Joanne sing that song to Bobby as another woman, rather than it just being a stand and deliver to the audience song, which it really always traditionally has been. And I never really thought about it. And then I was reading this little article and I was like, oh yeah, that is so different. And that's what made it land without me even realizing it so much. Because it was woman to woman rather than just a woman singing to a house full of people.
I've yet to see that. It is. I've said it a million times. Let's go on record 1,000,001. Company is my favorite Sondheim.
Yeah.
I think you'll really love this when you get to it.
Yeah. And and again, it wasn't a hit when it opened, but it has stood this test of time and speaks to every generation that it is revisited for.
Mm-hmm.
That to me says something. Trying to think which of the others. What else struck you?
I would also, well, the opening number, I thought Ariana the opening number was fantastic. I mean, she's brilliant, and she's the epitome of Broadway. And also her taking her moments. There was that little moment when she said something about Academy Award. She had won an Academy Award or something, and she was like, "Wow, I can't believe I get to say that." It was just so sweet and simple, but so genuine. She
Jennifer
really stood out.
Hudson. What was
Oh,
that?
yes.
EGOT now?
Yep,
Emmy,
EGOT. Oh, yeah.
Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
Yeah. What was her Emmy for? I was trying to think of this, and I couldn't remember.
I'm not sure.
Great.
Grammy,
And
Oscar.
I can't get into because I'm on my phone. So you know me, I would
Yeah,
normally
well,
jump right in.
just crazy.
Um,
But yeah, she's a producer for A Strange Loop. A lot of amazing
Yeah.
producers on that.
yeah. A lot of cast of thousands came up on stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Which
think more
also-
than usual.
I'm like, maybe we can shave that down a little bit, have some limitations, especially right now. But I guess, as we already discussed, I don't know if they were thinking too much about that.
No, I think the effort was so much to make things appear normal. Okay, I have got to go. Yay, yay, and yay. And we can talk about the best actor. Yay to Lehman Trilogy. I had shared with you, I thought it was one, if not the best, one of the most perfectly directed shows I've ever seen. The direction, Sam Mendes, it was brilliant. There was nothing wasted. Every moment meant something. Even to at this point thinking about it. But one of the actors, the trio was nominated. One of them, and his role probably was the most featured, if you will. That's a hard thing.
Well, it's really interesting because you have 3 actors nominated in the same category from the same show, and I think we talked about this a little last time. That could really break them up, people. But the fact that it didn't shows how much he really stood out.
Yeah, and limited run is another aspect to it.
Yes, also that. Yeah. I mean, it's also interesting too because we talked about who can vote a little bit last time. for each category, you have to have been able to see every single production in the category to be able to vote. Otherwise, you couldn't vote in that category. So with COVID going on, a lot of people couldn't make it to some shows, especially the fall, early winter. So this year, I read an article about this, there were significantly less voters than have been in the past.
Oh.
So you had a lot less people voting in each category. So apparently there were a lot more New York-based voters than out of town voters, because we live here. Not we, I'm not a voter,
Right.
but
Mhm.
they live here and can get to shows more easily than those out of town. So there
Ma-
were a lot of little pieces that being moved around. It was interesting.
My surprise, I don't know if you too, Mayor Winningham with a voice.
She's wonderful in that show. Not my favorite show by any means, but she has a beautiful performance in it. She really does. And I was really, speaking of surprises, surprised about them winning orchestrations.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. I thought it would be company,
Mm-hmm.
but she's a beautiful performer.
Yes, I just didn't realize she had such a powerful voice.
Yeah.
You know, a performance
know.
that got to me was because I haven't seen MJ, was to see Miles Frost. And I was like, wow, that's so good. And he's only 22. He's a baby. And I was actually just talking to my mom today, and Adam's from North Virginia as well. I guess Miles Frost is from
Yeah.
the Northern Virginia area and was discovered by doing like a Michael Jackson impersonation in his high school. Like that's how he
Wow.
kind of
He was a
got
part
on
of
that
He was
track.
Khakis.
adorable in his acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is the youngest actor to win in that category solo. The only youngest has been the boys that played Billy Elliot when
Right.
they shared that. And he just Ben Platt was 23 and now Miles is 22.
Spring Awakening, the little revisitation.
It was nice. It's not my favorite show. I really love the original play by Wedekind, so I have a hard time taking a musical version of that, which is odd because working in musical theater and stuff, I love it, but there's something about that show that I never latched on to as a musical. So it was a nice performance. It was fine.
In all fairness, I haven't seen Spring Awakening somehow. I've just always it's just never been around. But to me, that moment felt a little random in the night. That was one of my lower moments of the evening.
It was
Why I
plugging.
asked.
It was
Of all
plugging
the
the
shows that
HBO.
had anniversaries, to like highlight this Spring Awakening. I don't know.
It was to plug the HBO special, I think,
I think so. Yeah.
a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But they all
So
sounded
you-
lovely.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't realize that Glee, Leah,
Aaliyah
Michelle.
Yeah.
that she was in the original cast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. The
There's a
things
lot
you
of
learn by
faces.
watching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I missed that one. What was your biggest surprise, Adam?
Award-wise,
Yeah.
I would say best score.
Oh.
I did not think Six would win. Actually, sorry, I do have two. Because I really didn't think Six was going to win that. But then featured actress in a play, I did not think Felicia Rashad would win.
Mm.
And if I had been able to vote, she would have been last on my list. I
Wow.
was severely disappointed in her performance when I saw it. So perhaps she was just not feeling it that day, but
She did have a beautiful acceptance speech.
she did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just I think I said this before. I really wanted Kenita R. Miller to win so bad because she was just so
I
good.
thought she
And she
would.
was there. She had a baby
Yeah.
last week. I
Oh
was
my
just
God.
like, you're there.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the one I was sitting and talking with the husband. He go, "Oh, Kenita's going to win," and we're like, "Okay, I got that wrong."
That one really shocked me, and I couldn't believe it because I thought even if Kenita didn't win, I thought it would then maybe go to Rachel Dratch because it's so fresh and people loved her performance in that. But I was very wrong on that one. Very, very wrong.
You know what struck me last night? And I mean, the number of years I've been watching the Tonys, but it hit me all of a sudden. I think because maybe we've been doing podcasts about the Oscars too, and we talk about, different things. But the lack of two awards surprised me. the fact that there is no playwriting award for
Mm.
straight plays,
Hmm.
and there is no song award.
Ah,
I don't know, it's just, when you think of like the Oscars, you've got screenplay and you have best song, and it just, I don't know, it hit me last night of, especially the playwriting one. I thought that's a shame, because I feel like just because the production wins doesn't necessarily mean it was the best script. I don't know.
I'm
What are
going to
your
go
thoughts
with you
on that?
on that. I'm going to go with you on that one, Ellen.
Yeah.
In terms of best song, I'm
Maybe
gonna.
there's just too many.
yeah, that's
And
big.
the days of there's been all the talk. Oh, remember when you could walk out of the theater and you were singing the song and humming the song? Well, now it's like the anti that. If you come out singing a song, obviously they did something wrong. It's like you're supposed to walk out of the theater and go, "Oh, that music just what it sound like? I don't know, but it made me."
Yeah.
That's a
my-
really good point. I mean, I think part of best play, I mean, it really depends on the material itself. So it's interesting to really think about splitting it up, because if you were to pull the dialogue and the text away from the production, would it still win? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I always find it interesting too that there's no hair and makeup
Oh
category.
yeah, that
They don't-
too.
Because everybody's wearing a wig, so why can't we get an
Yeah.
award for the best wigs and best makeup? I don't know.
That's an excellent point too.
that one's
Hello,
always-
Tonys. We got a comment.
We're gonna make
I-
your broadcast longer.
I think their voicemail box is full right now, so
Although,
it has been for 50 years.
I'm surprised that the first hour on Paramount Plus, it wrapped a little early. They were like
did.
10 minutes early, and it's kind of funny. You kind of felt like Julianne Hough and Darren Criss were like, well, I guess we're done. But it kind of made you realize like how fast it could go. Although I didn't feel like the part 2 was too long. I think they did a pretty good job keeping it moving. But
All right, then as long as you go there, let me ask, what would you do differently in it?
I have always,
Ooh.
and I know this is such a hard feat, but I want clippets from the play. I want to see little scenes from best play and best revival of a play, even if it's just pre-recorded. I think we talked about this last time. Even if it's a few seconds, I want to see it.
yeah.
They
Maybe-
used to do that. They used to show little clips, right? I don't know why they.
Well,
I mean, I do know why,
wonder,
but-
I would have to go back and do some research on this, but how did there used to be a limit on how many musicals were nominated in Best Musical? Because I think that takes up so much of the time trying to show a number from every revival, every best musical. Are there just
Maybe.
more nominated these days than there used to be, and that's why they would have time to do?
I think
some-
also,
I don't
Ellen,
know.
time wasn't as they weren't as strict about it.
Mm,
All
mhm.
these shows used to run over.
Yeah.
It was
Mhm.
part of the running joke. But now it's like, running, Swiss trains. It's advertisers, dollars. The
Mm.
world's changed.
Yeah.
I think that's a
True.
part of it.
You know,
'cause
I mean, even if
no.
they were like, when they talk about the play, as they're talking, just show a little something. But that's a really interesting point, Ellen. Sorry, I diverted for a sec. I don't remember there ever being a limit, but perhaps in the world we live in now, I hate using this term, but where everybody gets a participation trophy, not that they are, but we
Mhm.
just open it up so much. So maybe limits would help. I know that's an awful thing, but
Any big snub in your book, Adam?
Kanita R. Miller,
Yeah. I
For
was going to
sure.
preface by saying besides Kanita. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
I would also say Jaquel Spivey for best actor in a musical. Okay, so I didn't see Miles Frost because he was out the performance I saw. So I saw his understudy, who was fantastic. But knowing the show, and when it just comes down to what are we looking for best actor, leading actor in a musical, I think Jaquel Spivey had a really huge emotional arc in A Strange Loop. He wasn't dancing like Miles Frost was the whole time, so they're just very different. I kept reading people saying, oh, it'll be Miles Frost. I was like, no, it won't be. I think there's too much controversy around Michael Jackson and so forth. I just don't think they're gonna give that show too much other than maybe choreography. I was very wrong.
And last time we spoke, you hadn't seen Jaquel Swivey, but you were
That's
going to see him
correct.
again. So did he live up to your expectations?
He did. He gave a really beautiful performance. He had been sick for a few weeks, so his voice wasn't quite back,
Mm.
which I had noticed he had talked about on social media and stuff. But just emotionally, he was really telling a story from like his guts, and that's clearly the kind of stuff I like because I keep talking about it. Make
You
me
know,
cry, and you're in.
right. You know, I often feel that, you know, the awards shows are twofold. One, the recognition, but two, to drive sales.
Mm.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
and to your point about not showing clips of the shows, how good time will tell. Do you think the the show will drive sales?
You mean the Tonys in
The
general?
Tonys, yeah. We had a much
Yeah.
bigger audience. You think it's going to drive sales?
I think it will for a strange loop temporarily, but again, the
Mm.
material is very specific and it's not going to bring in your family-friendly crowd from Iowa. It's a narrow audience, but if you can get people who normally wouldn't see something like that in the seats, even just a few, then you're doing your job. And I think that they're going to benefit from that way more than Six would have, which is already sold out constantly.
Sure.
MJ is selling amazingly. You know, I think Strange Loop needed it much more, but it is odd because all the plays that won are closed, so they they don't have any more sales. So I think that was an interesting. I don't know. I just found that a little interesting.
Hmm.
And Dana H closed months and months ago, and who we were talking about, Deirdre O'Connell winning. It would be amazing if they brought that back so people could see that again because she was just mind-blowingly good. And I will say I was very surprised. I was fighting for her and I stuck with my gut, but I was surprised that she won. Just because of politics in play with the Tonys and voters and so forth. So I was like, yes, this is great. And it won for sound design too. So it got two. It was amazing.
And did you like what everybody wore?
Oh, the fashion. The fashion was really fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was all
I love
kinds of
Ariana
costumes.
DeBose. She kept coming out in different costumes, in different clothing. I'm sorry, I was a pushover for that. I love it, and it goes back to years ago. I saw Whitney Houston at Saratoga Performing Arts Center, and she gave a killer show. People were with. Woman turns and she said, "You know, she just not enough costume changes." So the heck with the fact that Whitney sang her heart out.
Yeah.
She only wore like 2 or 3 outfits, and that always stuck with me. So every time I turned around, there's only one time I think I saw Ariana come out where she was in the same outfit twice. I went, "Ooh, who missed?" You know, was it too quick a change? But
And how sweet was.
no,
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say Jukina Calicongo said her sister designed her dress, right? Is that
Yeah.
think I
Oh,
heard that in
I
her
missed
speech?
that. Oh,
Yeah, I was like,
wow.
oh, that's amazing. That's lovely.
You know what was
Now,
nice
who
about
was
the
the fella
fashion?
in that? I'm sorry, in that yellow, orangey yellow, like crushed velvet suit? I couldn't jump in at first, and I was just scrolling through online. They kept posting. Broadway World kept posting off the red carpet. I thought, well, now that's a bold choice.
Was
Yeah, I missed
was
that.
he interviewing people on the red carpet?
No, he was
Oh.
one of the actors who, and I
Oh, I
can't
don't
think of his
know.
name. But yes, we'll have to go back and take a look. That suit is all I remember about what the guys wore.
I found it really nice when the fashion was just so much less uptight and traditional than it used to be too. And
Mhm.
people were just really wearing what they wanted to wear, not what Black Tie told them to wear, you know? And
Yeah.
that was really fun. I just all across the board, there was a lot of people just really expressing themselves rather than buying a simple black tux or renting one or buying a beautiful ball gown off of coat hanger or whatever, you know. It was cool.
Yeah.
So then the death of award shows is this has just proved that wrong, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, I think also it's about celebrating, and I especially after the past few years, we want to celebrate, especially theater coming back and so much of it, and all award shows. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of politics involved and all that junk, but we still love it. It's still fun to watch.
Yeah, I give this one, I give it a solid A. I think it was a good award show.
I do too. I would very much say that. I think she was one of my favorite Tony's hosts in a while.
Yeah.
Can't
Mhm.
remember who the last few. James Corden was one for a couple of years, right?
He's gone back to UK,
Hmm,
according to the news. When he's done here, he's gone back across the pond.
that's okay.
You know who was a great host? It's a number of years ago now. And he did that whole routine where he danced all around the theater.
Neil
Out.
Patrick Harris.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
I don't know if
still.
anything could ever beat Bigger. That year, that opening was genius.
Yeah, that was iconic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Angela Lansbury, by the way,
Yeah.
getting her Lifetime Achievement Award last night. And of course, it was disappointing she wasn't there, but I think she's 96, so
Yeah.
better stay put, especially with everybody, or not everybody, but Hugh spreading COVID.
Yeah. I mean, I
But
don't know the story, but I was like, I wish they could have maybe like zoomed her in or
I
just to
know.
see her, and just like, because everyone was so excited to see Len Cariou, it would have been lovely to actually see Angela's live, face.
Can you just hear her
Yeah.
going, "Oh, please, I'm not putting on makeup.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to do my hair. I don't think so."
It would have been nice. I mean, she holds the record of most Tony hosting gigs, right? Still?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Icon.
But
Icon and a
icon.
legend.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
No,
deserving.
no, it was a good night.
It's a great night.
It was really fun. Surprising. And you know what was interesting? Not one, at least musical wise, swept everything. It was
Yes.
very dispersed. I think it might go back to what I was saying kind of about the voters and who could vote, who couldn't vote. I'm sure there's a science behind it if we really broke it down, but it's kind of fun when it's broken up and it's not the same show winning all awards, even though, a lot of times they deserve it and that's wonderful, but it's nice to spread it around.
Yeah.
Were you surprised at how many empty seats there were?
I kept saying that.
Definitely. Especially at the end when they panned out. I was like, wow, even the orchestra was like very empty.
Yeah.
I
So I'd
remember
say,
the one year I went to the Tonys one year with a friend of mine. We got last minute tickets on Craigslist, I think, and they were real. We were way, 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 way up, and I think it was like 150 each. We got super dressed up. It was a great experience. They were selling student rush tickets for this for $275 for student rush. I
Mm,
was like, what student is going to afford that?
no.
NYU only? I mean, I found that so disappointing because especially like you said, Benita, all those empty seats, they could have dropped ticket prices or made them available to certain communities,
Yeah.
Yep.
universities, organizations. Fill those seats. It should have been every seat full.
even if it went to every student who took part in the Jimmy Awards,
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely.
bring them in. Just
Yeah.
because you win that, you make it to the big show, doesn't mean they're the ones who are going to become the stars. It may be the
Right.
one whose show. Listen, I judged them once locally, and schools with bigger budgets are at a great advantage over schools with little budgets, and you really try to balance that out. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's hard.
Well,
So-
unfortunately, we are running out of time, but I just want to remind our viewers, speaking of theaters that, make great opportunities for people, Harbinger Theater here in the Capital District is presenting Exit Strategy June 16th through the 25th. And it's their 5th premiere since December, and the playwright's never been produced in this area. And there are 4 local college students in the production, 2 from St. Rose and 2 from UAlbany, which is very rare. So check that out. Support Harbinger, does great work here. It has been lovely chatting with you two about the Tonys. Thank you so much. I'm Ellen
Adam, good to
Cribs.
see you twice.
Yeah, thank you both. I loved talking to you. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you so much for listening to the Everything Theater podcast. Special thanks goes out to Alice Grinling for our photography and Justin Friello for composing our amazing theme song. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to share your thoughts or what's going on in your theater community, you can reach out to us on social media or through our email at everythingtheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, it's everything, everything, everything.